As usual, my apologies for being absent. Getting back into another kind of those weird moods where I'm like reluctant to stream. I'm not really sure why. I don't really have any reason to be. Um, really just been like preferring to play Warframe on my own lately. Just kind of monkey around with things, try things out, work on things. I beat Exploder Orb for the first time all on my own. And I know that's not the biggest achievement on the planet, but it was for me. It took me a goddamn hour just because I couldn't remember where anything was, but that was fun. I don't know what Digger's doing. So we're going to start here in the simulacrum because I wanted to show off a couple things that I've kind of discovered mechanically from the last time I did an official stream. I've made a couple shorts and I streamed a few times previously, but I haven't done a big formal fancy to do yet. Um, so first off, like the last thing I did was the 1999 quest, the Hex quest, and I have to say, thankfully, I was really upset about it being another syndicate that we'd have to go and farm up. It hasn't been that bad. You can just do the regular 1999 quests and pick up the collectibles that they want, and then the thing I was really worried about was this was going to be another oh hell, what was it called on Deimos, Entradi family kind of syndicate where you would have to literally go do everything, pick up everything, mine everything, fish everything, hunt everything, collect everything, just so you could go and trade it in for some weird Chuck E. Cheese tokens that you would then get a certain amount of standing for, just like 3 layers of really esoteric nonsense. Thankfully that's not here. You pick up this, like, there's 8 things you can pick up, like a regular syndicate mission. You go trade them in, you get some standing, and then you can upgrade. I'm already like rank 2 with them, I think, and you only really, I think, need to go to rank 3 to get the good ending of the Hex quest. That I've heard, and you don't, as far as I know, you don't have to do the romance things, which I've thankfully not done. And I think enough time has passed where I can talk about that without blowing my fucking top over that shit. I'm not happy about it, and it's not for a mechanical or a gameplay standpoint, so we're not really going to touch on it tonight. I was kind of do a story narrative kind of thing later on, down the line. Um, so the Hex has been fun. The Hex was fun. It was a really fun quest. Holvania is a really nice, neat area. I like the Skuldara. The Tekrad are interesting. The Tekrad, I feel like, don't really have enough going on with them yet to differentiate them from the Deimos and Infested. They seem like they're too much of reskins, not like the Skuldara where they have their own unique mechanics and gimmicks. Um, but overall, they're fun. Haven't been terribly hard. I hit a real wall when I first ran into a Skaldera Decadent, or actually 3 of them and a fucking Eximus behind them too. But I've got all that figured out. We'll talk about that tonight. Really, I was kind of what stoked a lot of my research was hitting that thing and kind of realizing I have nothing to actually deal with it. And then what else have I been doing? I'm trying to pick away. Really, there's too much stuff. I've kind of what I'm really kind of figuring out. And that sounds like a baby boo boo bitch complaint. But when you really think about it, you've got the new syndicate, you've got Zeramon and Lloyd's nonsense, which I haven't fucking touched still. I got through one Zeramon mission finally. It wasn't that hard. Um, but I've got those 2 things to do. I don't ever check in with Call, which I should be doing, even though Call really doesn't have a lot of stuff that I want. I know those Archon crystals I think are important. I haven't gotten any Incarnon weapons yet. I haven't bothered with that nonsense. Still haven't done all Steel Path. Um, and I'm still neglecting Devere. So it's almost to the point I kind of feel like where Warframe is just a little bit too nebulous. Like we haven't Railjack. I haven't fucking touched any of the Proximas since I haven't had to. I don't really see the need to it until I can find something I actually need to go pull out of there. Um, it's not really. I'm not incentivized to go do it beyond boredom. And I'm not bored enough to go fuck around with Railjack again. Um, so I feel like the islands are like if Warframe is like a figurative arpeggio of little islands, I feel like they're getting further and further apart. That's kind of thing. I didn't mean to start grumping and complaining right off the bat. Just trying to get back in the right mindset. Um, so we're starting here in the simulacrum because I kind of wanted to go through the things I've been testing and the things I've been working on. And we're starting with Mesa. Mesa was my first prime. Mesa is still a suit that I really have no interest in going to get. I don't want to go do the Alad V assassination 12 times just to get a suit I already have, so Um, and for the longest time, I had been discounting her one, which does that. Ballistic battery. And you have to understand, when I say I've been neglecting, this was, shit. 2018, maybe? 2019? Sometime before two presidential elections ago. That's kind of where I'm basing it, I think. Um, and you have to understand that damage was different at the time, abilities were different at the time, and I just don't think Ballistic Battery did much of anything to really warrant my attention. Now, it could have been I just didn't know better, or it could have been that I finally had a chance to sit down and look at it. It's my favorite ability at this point, and I honestly think because of Ballistic Battery alone, she should be much further in and much more accessible in the star chart than she is right now. And here's my logic on that, alright? Basically what Ballistic Battery does, let's load up some dudes here. Just give me 19 of these guys. We'll drop off Steel Pass so we can actually see what this thing does, because it is a baby boo-boo weapon. Taking the 58, that's fine. Alright. So what Ballistic Battery will do, Derek, stop it, is all that damage you do will charge up your battery, and then you hit it, and you get a set amount of damage that you do on the next shot. Now, with this one, I'm not entirely sure what it'll do. It'll do that. Right? So, instead of doing, what were we doing? 500, we did 43,000. And that's because it's giving you a stock amount of damage that's added on, but it's also calculating it to all your mods, right? So it's very, very easy to, let's just load up some more. We'll do it again with the brute. I don't even need to do that. Let's pick that Aximus back there for this guy to move. He'll do something like that, right? So it's basically a much easier way of dealing with a lot harder enemies. And when you get to Europa or Saturn or around that point, I'm just going to let him have his fun. You're getting to that point when your first weapons aren't really working anymore. That's basically around Uranus, Saturn, was when I was kind of realizing that my weapons from the beginning of the game just weren't working. Now, you're going to say, Faint, that's the wrong lesson. You should be upgrading your shit immediately. You shouldn't be in your starter Warframe or using your Mark 1 bow, And I would counter that because, and this is maybe growing pains again, but we're at the point now between Incarnins and fucking Arcane, secondary Arcane slots, and all this other stuff. We're not in 2013 Warframe anymore. Hell, we're not even in 2018 Warframe anymore when I first started out. No, it couldn't have been 20. It must have been like 2020, something like that. It was a year or two. I don't quite recall. But we're at this point now where the weapon you're picking really doesn't matter as much as the things you put on it. Oh. That's a Marco in Paris. Let's get rid of Durga. He's not really helping things. So that's really why I think she should be further up, because you're getting to the point past Jupiter, and it may have changed since Jupiter got a rework too. I don't really know. I've got a couple new, like I've got a account on my phone and an account on my Switch. I don't think I've gotten either of them to Jupiter maybe yet. I don't remember. But where you start hitting that wall, I think it's either much further on now or augmented, just based on the things you can do. What are we thinking? A Kraken. Here's a great example. This was one of the first weapons I used, and I ended up trashing it because I thought it was junk, right? But if you have access to Mesa, you're getting a different lesson. You're not getting the lesson your weapons are junk. The first lesson you should be taking from all this is obviously you need to upgrade your mods. That should be your first priority, right? How's that doing? 31. Okay. This Kraken's doing pretty good on its own. I think the lessons that need to be learned from Mesa is that there are ways to augment your abilities that go beyond what you can normally do the traditional route, which is upgrading, you know. Because there's plenty of ways to do this. You can, of course, go and open up relics and try and farm out a prime weapon. And, of course, this is all the better on a prime weapon, you know, this kind of thing. You can go and try and fight the Liches and get a Kuva weapon or a Tenet weapon from the Sisters. I'm trying to remember where the other sources are of decent weaponry. Or you could just have the right frame for a job. And not really worry as much about your weapons, you know? So it's my age-old argument. The one I keep coming back to is, like, if you want to try new weapons, you know, abso-fucking-lutely, you know? Go out, try. There's got to be over 1,000 weapons at this point in this game. You know? Try them. Figure out what you like. But the Colstar is a kind of a good example here, right? Let's get rid of these guys. Let's open up with the Dedicant, which right now is one of the, well, I'll say he's one of the hardest guys. Let me redact that. He is the most heavily armored of the Scaldera, not counting the tank. I think he's even worse than the damn APC, if I remember correctly. And let's have a little blurb, because I've done a couple things on fighting him with various weapons. Let's actually let's get the Viper. This was the one. Oh, the Stug. Yeah, we gotta talk about the Stug. This was the one I made a video on, and I want to kind of point out he's a lot easier than he first comes up here. All right, so you have options. You can either try and chew through all of that overguard while he's hosing you with his gas grenades, right? Not a fun time. Now we could do this. And do that to break his overguard, and now he's a lot easier to deal with. But here's the thing, there's a lot easier ways to handle him. Let me show you how. And you may have heard it already. There's a little glass shattering sound that all the Scaldera make when you hit the weak point. So this guy's actually got two. So his first one is right here. We'll call that a belly pouch to be adult about the situation. But the other one's back here. You can see how we're doing all those crits. There's something else going on here. And if you don't know about the Viper, it's got this thing called skull shots, where as long as you're hitting the enemy in the head, getting headshots, you essentially have 100% ammo efficiency. So you can see I've got skull shots triggering and then two arcanes, which are also triggering off pistol headshots. Secondary, no, not secondary. Pistolier, arcane pistolier, and arcane precision. So what this basically means is this technically is a headshot on the Scaldera, because obviously we can't see his head, you know, where we would think his head would be. It's somewhere in there, right? And you can get lucky and still get it. Let's load up another one. So the first one's very easy. Aim right here. And magically his overguard's now gone. Now I have to caution you. That overguard actually gets him take a lot more damage than you might expect. Like, you can do 5-6 figures on his overguard, and then when it's gone, you're dealing with his armor. So you can hear it cracking back there. Like so. And I believe hitting these guys in the weak points will give you an upgraded critical, which is why we're going from yellow to reds and oranges, or oranges and reds. I can just cut them up. Yeah, there we go. That Dax mechanic is actually really nice. I really like it. Let's talk about the Stug. Stug's actually one of my favorite weapons right now, and I mean that earnestly. I have formatted it. Where we at right now? twice. And I've got a really particular setup. And let's just talk about the stub really fast. If my thing, there we go. Okay. Okay, so the Stug is regarded widely as the worst gun in the game, right? And that's because it shoots a glob and it explodes, right? Or you can hold it down for 3 or 4 seconds, whatever, and shoot a big glob and it explodes. And it does corrosive damage, which is kind of hard to figure out with this thing because beyond the bonus damage, which honestly the damage revisions has probably been the best for the Stug over anything else. Because not only does it hit status chance really suck, even when you strip that armor off fully, then you had to deal with a completely different damage type, and that made the Stug worse, you know? So it's able to just do a little bit more work against the Grineer and Scaldera now. And I find it's got actually several advantages to it. So first off, let's talk really quick. You shoot a guy, he takes some tick damage, it explodes. You shoot a guy, it takes some tick damage, it explodes. Nothing really impressive, right? Aim for the head. I don't know if I can. Not really. Nothing that great. Right, and even with the status effect, even if you do get a corrosive proc, which you may not, it's only like 15% or something, very low. By the time you get those balls to explode, it may be gone again, so you just can't build up that well. So that's kind of been widely regarded as why it is bad. Now, let's talk about how to make it good. Particularly that tick damage and Mesa make a very interesting combination. So here's my favorite fit right now. Barrel diffusion, lethal torrent, creeping bullseye, hydraulic crossover, crosshairs. Well, this actually may not be the right one. I think this is the crit one. This might be the better one. Yeah, I believe, yeah, this is the good one. And then we're missing some stuff here. Hold on a minute. So we're not worried about critical hits. We're worried about status chance here. So let's go ahead and just put some... Well, what am I missing? Yeah, it is Gunslinger. Okay, there we go. Alright, so we've got multi-shot because when we have multi-shot on, every ball can count as 2 to 3. Helps building up your blobs quite a bit. Then on top of that, we have just some straight damage, Pistol Pestilence and Jolts for some extra status. Heat, because that also armor strips. And most importantly, Fire Rate. Fire Rate is really great for this because it turns it from a little plop, 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 plop into a magazine ejector. And that is where we get very cool results. And I want you to watch this. Suddenly we're doing a little bit more damage, aren't we? So there goes his overshield. Now, let's see. Where do we want to play this? So we've got two options here. We can either shoot the big glob or little shots. Now, let's go with the big glob. The nice thing about fire rate is it also improves how about fast that charges up. So you can see we hit him in the back. The cool thing is those little ticks actually retain the damage bonus. And then, because we got a heat proc, we were able to get some good tick damage on him too. Not the best. You know, obviously it's the Stug. It's not going to be the best at anything. Nice thing with we don't even really have to worry about his weak points. We can just do this. Now there is a problem with it, particularly with these sacks on his head, right? Normally we try and land a glob on a headshot, we get a whole bunch of ticks that do a lot of damage, but you notice that that one just immediately exploded. That was because of the bag on his head, right? So we need to either hit the weak points or aim for something that's not covered in goo. His goo, not my goo, obviously. Oh, I fucked up. Guess we know. Now, personally, I actually like just using the quickshot globs over the charge up, because it retains that status over the critical hits, which we didn't really spec to, and ultimately the critical hits just don't really do much of anything. So if we aim for the back of the there, 78, 75, and then we got some good damage on him, right? And again, not the best. But also just spamming the globs helps you build up that really good armor strip that you could use. Oh, I ran out of ammo. Shit. That's the only issue with this thing right now, is you can run out of ammo really fast if you're not being cautious. Can't really tell how many stacks we have built up, but I think that'll be enough, so we just aim. And he's in mercy range. Which we don't even really need to worry about. We can probably kill him easily with this thing, so... is the Stug bad? By steel path counts, probably. Can it kill 240, level 240 heavy armor or heavy gunner Eximus? Probably not. But it can do the Scaldera when you get there. It can help you in the Hex Quest if you want to take it. So it's got a little bit of, it's got a little oomph to it still. And that really is helped out with Mesa. You saw the Kraken earlier. This has been another one I've been really having a lot of fun with again. Dreaming about, thinking about it. I've got it forward once right now. And it is my little pet project. You're going to notice that abysmal 10% critical chance, even with Pistol Gambit on, right? Hollow Point, target cracker? What am I doing here, right? What's the point? I can't hit a crit. What's the 5 times multiplier for? Let me show you. Steel Path, not Steel Path, the Steel Meridian, once you hit General in their rank, have a mod called Ballistic Bullseye. And what it does is the shot gains 50 plus 50% final critical chance based on the amount charged. So since we always charge this thing to max, that gives us the full 50%. And that means, I don't even know if I'm going to be able... Let's find out. That means we get the bonus. That means we get the 5 times, especially with the critical hit multipliers. As you can see. And the wonderful thing about the Kraken is it's very accurate from a distance. And those hits almost always line up. You have to get really far away before they're not lining up and you begin to get a little bit of spread on them. But yeah, let's just get back over here again. Now the big difference here with the Kraken, probably the big weakness right now, is that it is not yet doing, it has no status on it, which is, you know, something I could probably build it for, you know, but where these, this whole thing of like corrosive and mesa and ballistic battery really kind of coming together is when you have lots of nice stacks reducing the armor that you're dealing with and are able to do more damage, you know. All that put together. Which I wonder if I actually have a... Yeah, here we go. Here's one. Basically, it looks pretty damn similar to what was going on with the Stug. Lots of crit, or lots of status, added heat, multi-shot, right? And it's all working the exact same way. And see, you can see how much more damage we're doing, and we're already charged up. So with these particular enemies that are high armor, and in spite of the fact that Mesa seems to be preferring to be a big critter, building status seems to work a lot more effectively. Speaking of which, I got another trick for you. We'll keep the Kraken. Here's my friend the Daravandal. Now, Daravandal does not have a lot going for it normally, right? Looking at this, yeah, something like this. Not really a whole lot of damage. Can't really do a whole lot of anything, right? Just kind of a Dara. No one really thinks about the Dara. No one really likes about the Dara. Right? But it is fantastic at applying statuses. Look at all that crap up there, right? What are we doing with that? So I'm a personal huge fan of the heat and corrosive combination because they both armor strip and you get a nice damage over time. Just break his balls real fast. There we go. You get a great damage over time effect that allows you to chip away at the enemy while their armor is most vulnerable, right? But there's another combination I really like, and that is cold and puncture. And you may hear that, and if you've been cryogenically frozen for the last, I think, year, maybe, you may be wondering, puncture, what the fuck are you worried about puncture for? What do you like puncture? Puncture shit. Just reduces attack. It does, but now it also increases crit. Cold does something similar. Here, let's look at it real fast. Puncture temporarily reduces target's damage output by 80%. It increases critical chance damage taken by up to 25% with multiple stacks. Cold slows enemies down, but also increases critical damage by 10% on the first stack and additional 5 on the next. Effect doubles when they're frozen, and boy howdy, is this thing great for applying status. Look at that. Look at all that status there. So we have our Kraken, and we have our Dara. Two guns that no one ever really thinks about, right? Let's add mag into the blend here. So we got a whole bunch of nice stacks. He's frozen and just toasty. Beautiful amounts of damage. Gorgeous. And that was just with the Kraken, something that's not particularly that great. In fact, we probably could have done a little bit more with this, because we're not applying the statuses with the Kraken, we're applying it with the Dara. Let's try one more. These are the things I think about when I'm home alone. And it's almost criminally easy with these guys, as you can see now, to do all this nonsense. That was 160 damage with the Kraken. My children. And here's my beef with the Dara. Let's just go ahead and sack him. Is that all of this stuff, I've kind of been building a theme, right, with Mesa, and you know, she's the pistol girl, right, the cowgirl. She uses pistols, she uses regulators, and so I was kind of like, you know, I would really like to stick to that and kind of focus on that. So I've got like these arcanes that do secondary. I've got pistol amp. You know, I've been doing things that try and stay in line with that theme. But like, here's the problem with it all. Is that 9 times out of 10, just using ballistic battery on the Dara itself is so much more effective. It's just kind of my burden, you know. I'm sure once I'll get there, like, I can specialize further, get some more arcanes. But it's almost easier just to keep the Dara, you know. That's really all I wanted to talk about with this stuff, I believe. Let's look at the cluster. Oh, yeah, you know what? Here. You want to see some high-end nonsense? Let's talk some high-end nonsense here. Oops. That's not what I want to do. That was 140. That's the highest I can make that guy out. That was Steel Path, I think. Did I put on Steel Path? No, I didn't. Hold on. My bad. Let's try that one more time. Spectre's a beauty still. Especially with Mesa. She's not doing as good with the other ones, and that's mostly because we want more fucking slash procs, and, you know, one decent slash proc is fine. Let's fuck around with the Dara. That's the fun thing about Shadow Shield. Sometimes it'll balance a grenade. There we go. So you can certainly see where the potential is here, you know, maybe not with the Dare itself. You just keep doing it over and over and over again, to your heart's content. Ah, he unfroze. Wait, where's his backpack? Where is his backpack? There he goes. I couldn't figure out which way he was facing. Level 140 Skull Dare. Nothing a Dare Vandal and a fucking fart. It's fun stuff. Again, it goes to show, if you're clever, if you're creative, there's all sorts of ways you can... Now, obviously, this is a test environment. Far more chaotic. And I'm honestly going to tell you right now, I think there's some number differences with the Simulacrum. I think things in general are lower, even if you've got the Steel Tath turned on and your highest level. I think there's some kind of buffs or something in the actual missions that give them slightly higher chances. It seems like I'm not doing the same damage I thought it was. And then for my last one, I'm kind of stuck on right now. And this one kind of like is the one that's getting away from me, and I'm a little bit sad to see that. Take that off again, and pause the AI. That's the Colster. Now, I've had this thing sitting in my inventory for probably 7 years, right? Maybe more now. And it was one of the first guns I looked at. I was like, oh, I have to have that thing. You know, like, it's a 3-barreled torpedo launcher that shoots cluster bombs. You know, it's like, it's amazing. I have to have it. This is so cool. And I'm just really struggling to get it work. And I don't like Blast. That's my problem right now. Let me show you what Blast does really quick. While we're sitting here kind of dicking around. Yeah, don't need this one. So let's just go ahead and load up some blast. So I got rhyme rounds and thermite and aptitude. I think 99 should be fine. And then let's just do, usual song and dance. So, multi-shot and some damage. Who knows, this may be the one that wins me over. We'll see. Alright, that's all we can fit on there. Alright, I got one. Okay. So what blast damage does, the proc now, I don't remember what the proc did before besides just knock them over. Makes little bombs. And you can see it looks like chip damage, but it's actually not. It's single burst. You see that little fuse going off there. And you know what? This is actually probably the wrong weapon because all my fucking... Even when I'm trying to show off something, those little clip right there, you see those? Those little fuses sticking out like fireworks? Yeah, that's blast. That's all we're doing. You can see the slash proc we're not even trying to do. Doing far more than that. It's just an abundantly bad proc. And just everything that's cool fucks around with goddamn blast. Like, take this one off. We'll turn this into blast. Since it's just cold right now, we can easily turn it into just blast. Thermite. Yeah, put these down here actually. I don't know, theoretically there should be a decent amount of blast damage, right? You should be able to see the problem at this point. Like, the damage itself is fine, though the proc is just completely fucking useless. So you take that, and then you take the fucking Colster. And here's what the Colster does. Shoots a torpedo. Turns into cluster bombs. It shoots a torpedo. And it turns into cluster bombs. Oh, I'm sorry, we got multi-shot on here, so we're doing 3 now. You might be able to see the fucking problem here. Sure, it looks neat, but I'll be damned if it's actually doing anything. It's slowly chewing its way through that overguard where, you know... That did it much quicker. And it almost seems like Blast, and I really haven't played around with it that much. It almost wants critical hits. Not the best critter. Let's just really try. Let's really try. And make it get critical hits. And see if that impacts that damage even slightly, you know? Even to a minuscule degree. Oh, that's a sad baby. Hold on, I'll be right back.